Hey gang, this message is a quick update for all of you who are participating with me in our 90-day commitment to good health. Now, you may be working on professional health, financial health, any load of different topics. If you've been following along with us, you know that I am personally working on a 90-day commitment to good physical health. And my commitment included 90 days straight of 7 hours of sleep per night, exercise 5 days per week, every week, and also a commitment to totally clean eating and drinking with the exception of 1 day per week and any holidays that exist in this 90-day time frame. So we are about 6 weeks in. Basically, we're smack in the middle of this 90-day commitment for those of you that have been with us since the beginning. Now, I'll tell you that this past week was the first time since I started the program where I had 2 nights, and in fact, it was 2 nights in a row, of less than 7 hours of sleep. And y'all, wow. After getting so accustomed to consistent healthy sleep, I was blown away at the effect of lack of sleep. Now, I need to be sure and let you know that this one commitment of mine versus the other 2 were absolute cold turkey commitments. In other words, I knew that either you go to bed on time or you don't. It's not like I had to train myself to get on time. I didn't have to work up enough stamina to go to sleep. I either am disciplined and cut off everything that I'm doing in time to go to bed, or I don't. That's it. Okay? So I made that commitment above the other 2. In this area of sleep, it was going to be a cold turkey commitment. So I've kept with that one pretty well, but I have to tell you, it hasn't been super easy because the other areas of my life definitely required some adjustments. So when I was maybe sleeping 5 hours a night, then all of a sudden I switched to 7 hours a night. That was 2 extra hours of productivity time that went out the window. So my to-do list all of a sudden looked like a traffic jam. And that has required consistent, ongoing analysis and refinement and improvement in my world over the past 6 weeks. So in one of these upcoming video sessions, maybe we'll host a Q&A of how you might be able to do the same thing, some tips or anything that I might be able to share with you there. But I'll tell you also that I just finished reading this article. And I'm going to link it to a Facebook post so that you'll have it and you can read it yourself. But it's called 14 Reasons to Get a Good Night's Sleep. Okay, so I will share this with you. Read it. Read it. Read it. It's really good, and it's important. It's way more important than we give it credit for. And remember, there is a verse in Psalms, I believe, that talks about how futile and foolish it is for men to stay up burning the midnight oil when God wired us for sleep. So what does that mean? It means that there is exactly enough time in every day to do the tasks with excellence that God has given us to do. So if we are struggling in this department, it really means one of 2 things. It means either we are being lazy and not planning well our days so that we can manage our time to the best of our ability with God's help and blessing, or it means that we are taking on tasks and holding on to projects that aren't in God's will for us. So we've got to go back and look at and examine these different areas to figure out why we're not experiencing the joy that God desires for us to have, and it's usually things that we are doing, that we are causing. It's human error, operator error, and it requires us to dig deep to get to the bottom of it. But that's why we're here together. That's why we are all a part of this community of men and women who are waging war against mediocrity, that we are committed to living and seeking and developing a life of excellence on a daily basis. So that's the scoop on sleep. Okay. Now the second update that I have for you, for those of you that are committed to this with me as well, is the 5 days of exercise. Now I know some of you are doing 3 days of exercise. Some of you are doing 7 days of exercise. Whatever your specific commitment is not the important piece here. The important piece is, how are you doing with your follow-through, with your consistency, with your accountability to yourself? Okay, in my other life, in my professional life, I'm actually doing a coaching and accountability program right now. It's called the 5K, 10K Run. And the whole purpose, the whole objective of this 6-month program is accountability. It's a customized, personalized plan for each individual person, because I don't believe that business, or life for that matter, is a one-size-fits-all approach. And I think it's a mistake to attempt that approach. So their action plan is customized for them, but we are doing group accountability. Okay, and by them committing to this program, they have all opened themselves up and signed a commitment with their willingness to be accountable to me. So what that means is that we are addressing the good, the bad, and the ugly in their lives. Now, y'all, it doesn't mean that I am the expert. There's nothing magical about me being the accountability partner. Really, the magical piece is committing to be accountable to someone or something outside of ourselves. And by learning to be accountable to someone else, we can then develop the life skill of learning to be accountable to ourselves. Because wouldn't you agree, and it's just human nature, that most people will be accountable to someone else far longer and far stronger than they will be accountable to themselves, because we always put ourselves last, and we also typically let ourselves off the hook. So we hold ourselves to a lower standard than typically what we would perform, in the level where we would perform if we knew that there was someone else counting on us, or if we knew that we had to be accountable in any type of public format. We don't want to show up and say, I blew it, I was terrible, I was pathetic, I was lazy. We don't want to show up with a pile of excuses. So we're always going to push through more. It's just like hiring a personal trainer. We're going to push through more when there's someone there to be accountable to. So let's connect that back to your goals in this particular program, okay? Now, like I said, mine was 5 days a week of consistent exercise. And for the first month, I just had to get my body back into the strength and stamina of exercising every single day. I had just come off of a month of the flu and being sick and being on the other side of the world, so the time zones and all that mess. It really took, and besides the fact that I'm no spring chicken anymore, I'm not 25, and so it took me longer than I would have expected, and certainly longer than I was happy about, to get back to where I felt strong and where I felt powerful in that hour per day of exercise. So I did that for a solid month. Then over the last couple of weeks, I've been working on kicking up the energy and really starting to shock my system with different types of workouts and different types of exercise programs, so that I wouldn't hit a plateau, so that it wasn't just becoming autopilot rote memory. So this week I started a 6-week circuit training program. Again, I'm just doing it at my house. I'm using some videos, some of my own stuff, just individual pieces of equipment. I'm not hiring a trainer. I'm doing it on my own, but knowing that I have to be accountable to you is helping me immensely. So I am, again, so grateful that we get to be on this journey together. But now I'm going to start really tracking my specific stats and my measurements and my ratios, and I'm going to connect that to the third piece of the commitment here in a minute, because for the first month to 6 weeks, I wasn't as concerned with marginal improvements as I was concerned with just the habit, the activity, the consistency. I wanted to get back in motion in a healthy way. So now that I've got that in place, I'm going to start tracking and fine-tuning and measuring. Now, there's a very solid argument that I should have been measuring from the beginning, because anything that gets measured, anything that gets tracked is going to improve, okay? It's been said that the absolute best form of diet is just writing down what you're eating, because simply having to stare at it will subconsciously rewire us to make wiser, smarter, healthier choices, okay? So if you've been writing yours down from the beginning, God love you, more power to you. If you haven't, I invite you to start it with me now if that is something that you would like to do. Okay, so the third piece of my commitment, this is really the one that we're going to start discussing now, and I know y'all have been asking me about it for 6 weeks, and I've been telling you we would get to it eventually, and so we're finally there. In the second half of this program, we are going to focus on clean eating, okay? So again, what my commitment is that 6 days a week, I will be committed to clean eating and drinking, and then I will just allow myself 1 day a week of eating whatever I want to, and then holidays, any that pop up during this 90 days. Now, that is not an original idea from me. In fact, I got that from a program, an extremely popular program called Body for Life with Bill Phillips, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. But I did it for the first time about 12 years ago and had shocking results. That you work out very aggressively 6 days a week and with a specific routine, and then you also eat a very disciplined diet for 6 days a week, and then you can do whatever the heck you want to do on day 6. You don't exercise, you let your body heal, and then you can, if you want to, literally stuff yourself silly with whatever foods you choose during that 24-hour time frame. Now, it might sound a bit gluttonous, okay, which it is, and it also may seem like it would be tough to really lose weight if you're giving yourself that freedom once a week. But the exact opposite is actually true there. It keeps your body from going into starvation mode, from shock mode. And I was blown away at the weight that I lost and the results that I saw during that particular program, even with eating whatever. And y'all, I'm not kidding you. The way that I motivated myself is I'd say, okay, I want to eat this candy bar, or I want to eat this popcorn, or I want, whatever it was. If I knew I could make a list of it and go eat it on Saturday, then I wasn't so tempted on Wednesday. If I knew just in 3 days, I'm going to go eat that. I'm going to save that batch of cookies, and I'm going to eat it on Saturday. I could negotiate with myself and play these mind games with myself where I didn't feel so victimized in the moment. I could be stronger and make wiser choices if I just knew it was delayed gratification, not completely denying myself, just simply a little bit of delayed gratification. So again, of course, the old adage is short-term sacrifice for long-term gain, right? So that one concept, I know because I've lived it and seen the results myself, is a very successful concept. So that's why I chose it, okay? But the concept of clean eating, this definitely, sorry mom, was not something that I grew up with. I grew up with packaged foods, with processed foods, with fried foods. I grew up definitely a child of the South. And we didn't eat anything if it didn't come frozen or in a box. Okay, it was very rare. So learning the concept of clean eatings and whole foods was really not something that I started looking into until I got pregnant with my son and started really feeling responsible for the livelihood of another soul. So over the past 5 years or so, I've been researching that more and more and more. And I'll tell you, the more I study, the more I research, the more, wow, totally sold out and convicted I become about the importance of what we're putting into our body, what we're eating. You know the old saying, you are what you eat? Yo, it's so true. So the things that I think have been the most shocking to me over the past few years of my research would be, number one, the poison of high fructose corn syrup. These are in no particular order as far as danger to your body is concerned, okay? But the poison of high fructose corn syrup, the poison of carbonation, like in your soft drinks, what else would there be? The poison of artificial sweeteners, and then the poisons and toxicity from the meat and dairy industries. So as I really became more educated and more confident in the crap that I was putting in my body, the easier it has become for me to make different choices. And y'all, I gotta tell you, it was an adjustment. It was a process. If your taste buds are used to eating packaged processed foods all the time, and then you switch over to eating whole foods and fruits and vegetables, and it takes an adjustment. But I remember why I was so encouraged about it is I remember when JD was a baby, so he was just starting on foods, like, ground up, getting off of a bottle and getting onto foods. And they were talking about how to introduce the different food groups to your baby so that they will have a diverse palate and be open to different foods. But the thing that stuck with me the most is that you've got to introduce certain different foods to your child up to 8 times before they will become used to the different tastes and before they will develop an affinity, let's say for turnips or for broccoli or for green beans or for any of these more bitter or bland foods. It takes 8 times. And what do? We taste something one time, we're like, oh, I don't like it. And so for the rest of our life, we don't like that food. Okay? So that just taught me, if that's the case with the baby, why can't we be that committed ourselves? So it forced me to make a decision to be committed to experimenting and getting unlazy and becoming more proactive and thinking outside of the box and breaking away from the status quo of just what everyone does. Because, y'all, remember, the way you do anything in life is the way you do everything in life. And if we want to stop living like most people, if we want to stop experiencing life like most people, we got to stop acting like most people. We got to stop thinking like most people. We've got to push the envelope and rise above mediocrity. So that's really what I've been doing for the past 6 weeks heretofore in the clean eating department, is doing a lot more research of what does clean eating mean? What was our body meant for versus what it's getting today, and how can we develop a stronger vessel, a stronger machine, a stronger vehicle that is going to deliver us to the life that we love? If this is our vessel, if this is our vehicle, we want to really give ourselves the best shot that we can of a long, amazing, fabulous life. We don't want a survival guide. We want a thrival guide, right? We don't want to just survive. Survive means we didn't die. We've stuck it out. Okay? I don't want to survive. I want to thrive. And I know that you do as well. So as we wrap up this update, what I would love to do is invite you to share your own definitions and your own experiences of what does clean eating mean to you? What have you seen in your own before and afters, in your own experiences, as you've decided to become more responsible and take control of what you feed yourself, what you feed your family? I'd love to hear your recipes, your stories, your examples, anything that you want to share with us. Because remember, Rising waters lift all boats. I love you guys, and I'm so grateful that we are on this journey together. Bye for now.